If you've stumbled upon this video, I'm guessing you're looking to leave Texas and you're considering a move to Raleigh, North Carolina, but you just don't know what to expect. Well, you've come to the right place. My name is Matt Martin, and I'm a local realtor here in the Raleigh area. I've helped tons of clients relocate to the Triangle region, including from Texas, and if you're looking to do the same, I'd love to help you too. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe right down below. So the Triangle's growing immensely, and Texans make up one of the biggest groups moving in, which explains the insane number of Texas license plates I see around town every day. So why is everyone moving here, and what's it like? Well, let's start off with an obvious disclaimer. Texas is huge, so of course there isn't a one-size-fits-all comparison that can be done. So where it's relevant to compare city to city, I'm gonna focus on Austin specifically. Let's start off with an easy one, the size. Austin is a much larger city with a population inching ever closer to that 1 million mark, while Raleigh is less than half that at just under 475,000 people. Austin is also more than double the size geographically at 305 square miles to Raleigh's 150. So Raleigh will feel like a smaller city, and once you leave the urban downtown, it transitions pretty quickly to a suburban neighborhood feel. That said, Raleigh is part of the larger Triangle region, with the other big player in the region, Durham, just about 25 to 30 minutes away, which makes the city feel a bit more expansive. If you want to learn more about the Triangle region and local terminology, check out my video here. All right, on to a biggie, the weather. If you're looking for a place that has 4 full seasons, but a much less extreme summer than you're used to in Texas, Raleigh's the spot. Much like Texas, Raleigh does have a hot and humid summer, but real Texans would laugh at that. Here, the worst of it only lasts for a couple of months, and our average high temperature never breaks into the 90s, whereas Austin's average high is 90 or more for June through September. We still do have our fair share of 90+ days, but we've only averaged 1 day per year over 100 in the last 10 years versus Austin's 30. And as I'm sure you know, 2023 saw more than 70 days over 100 for Austin. So if you're moving here from Austin or really anywhere in Texas, our summers will feel much more mild. If you also want to experience winter without all the snow shoveling, Raleigh has you covered there too. Raleigh does drop into the 20s and 30s during the winter, and it occasionally even snows, but we only get about 4 to 5 inches per year, and it usually melts the next day. And if you're looking for more snow, we're just a few hours away from the insanely beautiful Appalachian Mountains, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Our dog Boomer absolutely loves the snow, so we try to take a trip at least once a year to the mountains every year. Another biggie, the food and culture. One of the things we love about the Triangle is its booming food and brewery scene. But if you're moving here from Texas, there are a few things you'll need to know. While we do share many Southern dishes like grits and collard greens and pimento cheese, you're not gonna find Tex-Mex like what you're used to. But even this Southern Californian has found a few favorite spots for really good tacos and enchiladas. Another difference is barbecue. While Texas is famous for its beef brisket, North Carolina is known for pulled pork, often served with a vinegar-based sauce in the eastern part of the state and a tomato-based sauce in the western part. Yes, you can still find both sauces at any good barbecue joint, but it's a bitter rivalry between the two. Pun fully intended. Oh, and our chili here does have beans. The Triangle also has a huge local beer and cider scene across the over 40 breweries here, many that welcome your human and fur babies. And given the great weather I already talked about, you can enjoy the outdoor spaces at these breweries pretty much year round. Culturally, there are so many things to do. Raleigh hosts First Friday on the first Friday of every month, where multiple galleries downtown open their doors so you can meet the artists, see their work, and sip and stroll with some adult beverages. And that reminds me, Raleigh, Cary, and Durham all now have sip and stroll districts that allow for open containers in designated portions of their downtowns. If you're in the mood for a Broadway show, check out the Durham Performing Arts Center, or DPAC, which consistently ranks among the best theaters in the country and hosts all the major touring shows. Or if music is more your thing, there are tons of live music venues, from Red Hat and Coastal Credit Union amphitheaters to PNC Arena. And every spring, Dorothea Dix Park is home to J. Cole's 2-day Dreamville Festival, which last year featured Drake and Usher as its headliners. So if you're relocating from Texas to Raleigh, I promise you'll still find great food and a ton of cultural offerings. The next thing people love about moving here is the access to the outdoors. It's funny, every local we talked to before moving here had the same thing to say about why they love Raleigh. We're just 2 hours from the beach and 3 hours from the mountains. I swear, it's like you get a script when you're new to Raleigh. Yes, Texas does have both, but given the size of the state, you'll often have to drive much further to get to either than you do here. And the mountains here are insanely beautiful. I'll admit, I was super hesitant on our first trip to the mountains, unconvinced that the gorgeous Appalachians we heard so much about were gonna be anything more than some rolling hills. But I was totally wrong. They are real and they're breathtaking. And if you head up in October when the leaves are changing, there's really nothing else like it. As for the beaches, we have an entire coastline of beaches to choose from. And if you've always wanted to learn how to surf, being on the Atlantic means you'll have a lot more opportunities to do so than you would on the Gulf. And while the Atlantic is generally colder than the Gulf, it still averages above 80 degrees from mid-May to mid-September, so there shouldn't be any shock jumping in. Texas is also known for its lakes, and we have plenty of those around here too. Jordan Lake and Falls Lake are both about a 20-minute drive from downtown Raleigh and allow motorized boats. Lake Gaston is about an hour north on the Virginia border, and then Lake Norman is the crown jewel of the Charlotte area, just about 2.5 hours away. Raleigh's also home to a 180+ mile network of greenway trails for biking, hiking, or just strolling. And Dorothea Dix Park is a beautiful 300-acre park right next to downtown, which we're in multiple times a week with our dog, and it's one of his favorite places in Raleigh. And while we're on the subject of outdoors, no video about moving to the Triangle would be complete without talking about the trees, the trees, the trees. Raleigh is called the City of Oaks for a reason, and the one thing everyone comments on when they first visit is the incredible greenery. It's such a beautifully lush city and unlike anything I've seen in the rest of the country. All right, let's talk cost of living. Texas is of course known for not having any state income taxes, which is hugely appealing to many residents, whereas North Carolina has a state income tax of 4.75%. But that doesn't tell the full story. Sales tax here is only 7.25% to Austin's 8.25%, and property taxes here are much lower. Here, they average about 1% to 1.25% of property value. So your annual bill would be about $6,000 on a $500,000 house. Austin averages closer to 2%. So your bill would be almost double at $10,000. And speaking of home values, Austin's housing market is much more expensive than Raleigh's. In fact, the recent Council for Community and Economic Research's Cost of Living Index put Raleigh's housing market at about 18% higher than the national average, versus Austin at nearly 90% higher. So what's that mean in real numbers? Well, the median home price in Raleigh is about $400,000 versus Austin's $550,000. And Raleigh homes sell for a median price per square foot of $229 to Austin's $309. So based on these median prices, a 2,500 square foot home in Raleigh would run you about $575,000 versus $775,000 in Austin. It's a $200,000 difference. Of course, homes in highly desirable areas will far exceed these numbers in both cities. All right, so what about education? Well, North Carolina ranked number 18 on US News and World Report's pre-K through 12 education list versus Texas at number 37. Now, those are statewide averages, and Niche.com gave Raleigh an A in public education and Austin an A-. So both cities have strong public education systems for K through 12. On the higher education front, the Triangle region is known for our colleges and universities. We have the 4th highest concentration of PhDs in the country, which helps explain why 4 local cities just ranked in the top 10 most educated cities in America: Durham, Chapel Hill, Cary, and Raleigh. The big three colleges and universities here are UNC Chapel Hill, which ranked number 22 on US News and World Report's recent college rankings, Duke at number 7, and NC State at number 60. But Raleigh alone has 10 colleges and universities. Of course, Austin is home to UT, which ranked number 32, but unfortunately, none of its other 13 colleges broke the top 100. However, one thing will ring true across both regions, and that's the dominance of college sports. While Austin is united behind the Longhorns, here in Raleigh, you'll find a fierce rivalry between the Tar Heels, the Blue Devils, and the Wolfpack. Okay, one last thing, getting around town. Here, Austin definitely takes the cake on public transportation, but Raleigh has much more manageable traffic. It's almost mandatory to have a car in the Triangle, and despite the city making inroads on installing more bike lanes, expanding the electric scooter network, and developing a bus rapid transit system, there is no light rail to easily connect the major hubs of the Triangle. Because of this, traffic is on the rise, but it's nothing like what you'd find in Austin. The good news is that the state is spending billions of dollars expanding our highway and freeway system, but with 80 people moving to the region every day, traffic is definitely a concern for many locals. Of course, moving across the country is always a huge decision, but if you're looking to swap out Austin for the Triangle, you'll find much of the Southern charm that you're already used to in a cheaper city that's packed full of culture, well-educated people, access to the great outdoors, and has much more temperate weather. If you've moved to the Triangle from Austin or anywhere in Texas, I'd love to hear about your experience. Leave me a comment below about how the move has been for you and maybe what surprised you the most or what you love the most about living here. And if you're looking to move to Raleigh, be it from Texas or anywhere else, I'd love to connect. All my information is included here.